If you are an active duty service member ready to transition out of the military, a loving spouse seeking support and resources on how to cope with PTSD, or maybe a military brat ready to take the next steps to join the Air Force, or a veteran wanting to connect with others through shared experiences, then this is the right podcast for you. My name is Laura Figures, and this is the Freedom Isn't Free podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. I am your host, Laura Figures. First, thank you for joining me each and every single week as we continue to bring you inspiring stories or resources that address, is freedom free? Today, I wanted to take us back. I talked about this subject on April 1st, and I wanted to continue the discussion because it's a part of our reality that we have tons of homeless veterans that this topic needs to be continued to be discussed every day, every month, until we're able to eradicate this. Now, this problem overall, the U.S. public was made more aware of this problem only after the Vietnam War. The lack of economic stability and economic hardships were one of the major factors that led to the explosion of veteran homelessness in the post-Vietnam War period. Also, veterans from more recent conflicts were also affected. Now, the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs stated that most homeless veterans in America are predominantly male, with only a small number of being females, which I did highlight in my previous April 1st episode, Homelessness Among Veteran Women. Now, a precise count is almost impossible to make, right? But according to some estimates, about over 40,000 veterans are homeless on any given night. And that's a major problem for our country, which we are trying to currently address. The number of veterans experiencing homelessness increased in 2020, even before the effects of the corona pandemic damaging employment prospects and financial resources for the military community. The increase is concerning and backslides the improvements that have been made in the last decade. Since basically President Barack Obama announced a federal effort to address this issue when he was in office. From 2010 to 2019, the number of veterans without stable housing decreased by more than 50%. However, this figure has increased slightly in 2020, raising it to 37,252. Now, listen, these totals mean that every 10,000 veterans in the United States, at least 21 have experienced homelessness, at least by the start of last year. Veterans make up about 6% of the population, but 8% of the country's homeless population. These results are very troubling, even before you consider what COVID has done to make the homelessness crisis worse. We won't know the full impact of the pandemic on the numbers of veterans experiencing homelessness until later, but there are newly released numbers indicating that more needs to be done to help our veterans facing crisis that could lead them to homelessness. So even a slightly pre-pandemic uptick in veteran homelessness after a significant decline in 2010 is concerning. So listen, the Biden administration has recommitted to housing first, which is a proven strategy and dignified way to help veterans and others achieve stable and permanent housing. This will help accelerate progress in preventing and eliminating veteran homelessness among all groups. The number of Americans experiencing homelessness increased about 2.2% from 2019 to 2020, which is estimated about 580,000 individuals were without stable housing as of January 2020. More than 90% of veterans experiencing homelessness were men, like I mentioned before, but Black veterans make up about 1/3 of all veterans dealing with the unstable housing, even though they make up about 12% of the total veteran population. Now, to give you a little bit of statistics, California alone accounted for nearly 1/3, yes, 1/3 of all of the veterans experiencing homelessness in America, which is about 11,401. Now, California, Florida, Texas, and Washington, these 4 states with the highest total number of veterans among their residents, together had about 70% of all of homeless veterans in America. Now, HUD did a report. The report noted that 28 states actually saw a decrease in the total number of veterans experiencing homelessness, which is a positive trend. However, North Carolina, Oregon, and Utah saw double-digit percentage decreases in homeless veteran population. Yes. Now, people across the country are suffering due to the pandemic or economic, basically, fallout, honestly, making it much more critical for us to work diligently to ensure that veterans can access housing as we continue our mission to end veteran homelessness. Now, we hope that having basically new leadership in office, they can prioritize ending homelessness and focus on racial equality and building a system of care that works for all veterans that will have a positive effect. Now, some of these leading causes of veteran homelessness is social isolation, lack of support after major risk factors among U.S. veterans, like the pandemic. There's research that has shown that these 2 factors greatly increase the risk of veterans going homeless. Veterans have low marriage and high divorce rates. 1 out of 5 live alone. Without proper social support after being discharged, the risk of going homeless is extremely high among veterans. It is so important for us to develop a plan for our veterans when they are transitioning from being in the service, retiring, back to the civilian world. Another cause of veteran homelessness, which is veterans are greater risk of homelessness than non-veterans, right? A study that was done between Yale University and the VA Connecticut health care system found that veterans have a higher risk of going homeless than non-veterans. Now, this disparity has declined over time, but again, these are veterans that have served and protected our country that have a greater risk of being homeless. Now, some veteran statistics point to substance abuse as being one of the major factors for homelessness. Some of the studies have pointed to the blame of substance abuse as one of the leading causes of veterans being homeless, not only, but it's also a strong predictor of future homelessness. So substance abuse, including alcohol and drug abuse, are some of the major factors. Another leading cause is mental illness. This is yet another cause of disparity among homeless veterans. Now, a study done at the actual VA on mental health of veterans revealed that mental disorders are common among homeless veterans. And also they noted that mental health illnesses are also a strong predictor of a veteran going homeless after discharge from active duty. PTSD has been identified as the leading mental disorder among veterans. Second came anxiety. Another factor is the lack of affordable housing. Look, the shortage of low-cost housing is a major problem for everyone, not just veterans. However, it certainly is a bigger problem for the latter. Studies have uncovered that the lack of affordable housing is a major factor for veterans going homeless, especially post 9/11 veterans. These veterans are more likely to struggle to afford housing than any other group of veterans before them. Affordable healthcare is also a great issue. According to the new Harvard Public Citizen Study, around 1.5 million veterans are uninsured and 2 million can't afford health care. Those numbers are staggering. This is America. These are our veterans that have served and protect us, that once they leave the service, they don't have any health care. They can't afford it. They are uninsured, which this is a major factor. Lastly, rounding out the leading causes of veteran homelessness is unemployment. Several studies have identified unemployment as one of the factors that have greatly contributed to the problem. Veterans often have a problem finding a job due to a combination of factors that may or may not include mental or physical problems or substance abuse. Statistics have shown that unemployment is the primary reason for vet poverty and homelessness in the United States. Now, listen, I've told you all the facts. Let me tell you how we can help our veterans. Our veterans have risked their lives in combat to protect the citizens of the United States. In many ways, we owe our lives to them and should always lend a helping hand. The number of vets without shelter is on the decline, which shows promise, but there are still states where it is on the rise. Although we're close to getting veterans and homeless off the streets for good, there is still a lot of work left to be done. There are a number of obstacles the government needs to address. While the VA and other organizations and charities are doing everything that they can, you can still join the cause and help out yourself. Listen, for starters, take a good look around your community. See whether there are any vets that require assistance. You can contact different organizations in your area and prevent them from appearing in homeless veteran statistics. If you can't help that way, listen, you can always donate to charities and organizations or bring the issue up by getting in touch with your elected officials. Every little bit counts. These people need all the help that they can get. Here at the Freedom Isn't Free podcast, we have connected with several of our local VA hospitals to not only just provide toiletries, warm coats during the winter time, but we also provide resources, trainings, things of that sort. So when our veterans are off the streets, they can get trained for opportunities like job interviews, resume writing, just basic skills in order for them to gain employment. There are also programs within the VA to get them housing, but we have to come together as a community to help our homeless veteran population. As the great Gandhi once said, we must be the change we want to see in the world. Now, listen, without your help, we can't erase the question, how many homeless veterans live in America? Give a veteran a chance to live the life they deserve. After all, everyone deserves a shot at a normal life, especially after transitioning from the military. Yet these veterans who risk their lives for our country and the people within it deserve it all the more. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the Freedom Isn't Free podcast. I appreciate you. Please continue to pour into our veterans as they have poured into us. For those of you that are listening, as always, don't forget to thank a veteran for their service. I love hearing from you, my listeners. military heroes, veterans, spouses. Message me your stories and let your voice be heard. And while you're doing that, go inside the podcast app, leave a 5-star review and a 5-star rating. This helps us reach more people. And if you want to be a part of this mission by helping us provide a voice for our service members, then make sure you subscribe. It makes a difference by leaving a review, and remember to thank a veteran.